Okay, here's biochar video number 2 in our 3-part series. So, one of the problems with biochar is, let's say you don't have animals. Let's say you don't have enough poop. There's worldwide poop shortage. What are we going to do, right? We're creative people. We have to think of something, right? So, here's what I came up with. What is an abundant source of nutrients that we can use to load up the biochar? Well, wood chips. Everyone's got wood chips. Every town in America, at least in the Midwest, has a huge pile of wood chips, and then there's piles and piles more of wood that just gets burned. Well, imagine when there's a hurricane. Can you imagine the mountains of wood chips? I've seen they're like bigger than a skyscraper. It's crazy, yeah. And what happens to those wood chips? They decompose, and all that carbon goes right back to the sky. So it has nothing effect on the carbon cycle. If we were to turn those wood chips into biochar, wouldn't that be great? We could sequester all that carbon, but we don't. But whatever. So here's the idea. You take your, let's see, here's how I do this. Okay, I didn't really plan this out very well, but okay. Here, let's take a raised bed, okay? And then let's line the whole thing with plastic. All right? And and you want it to be about 1 foot tall, right? And then what you do is you load it up with 1/3 soil or sand or whatever. And then 1/3 biochar and 1/3 wood chips. Okay, and you mix it all together, and then so that's the idea. Is with soil is you take the grass, right?
Right.
You scoop the grass, and then you throw it in with your mixture here, right? And then what happens is the grass grows to get about 2 or 3 feet tall, right? And what happens is the grass roots, they fill in your raised bed completely. That's called rooting out. Completely, and I know everyone's probably, a lot of us have seen that when you're growing grass in a pot, and it just, the whole thing turns into a giant root, and it turns white, okay? Well, guess what? That white stuff is mycorrhizal inoculant, right? And each ounce of that stuff, you have like 80 miles of filament fibers. And what are those fibers doing? Transporting nutrients. So they're going into the wood chips and taking the nutrients, putting it into the biochar. So this is how we're loading up our biochar with nutrients. Wow. And then
it's amazing.
And then you run it wood chipper. Run it through a wood chipper, boom, you got your fertilizer. You got some of the best fertilizer in the world. Guess what? We don't know how long, this is untested. It could last 10 years. This could fertilize your farm for 10 years. And it's super cheap, basically free stuff you can make on your own.
Eco-friendly.
Anyone could make this. You don't need any animals.
Renewable.
Yeah, totally renewable, sequesters carbon, cheap, free, The other cool thing you could do is go to the Mississippi and collect carp. that would be an ecological form of fish emulsion, because carp are invasive in the Mississippi. But that'd be a huge amount of work. This would be easier once you scale it up. And you don't even really need plastic here. You could do concrete or metal, just something to keep the roots, to stop the roots. Oh, and so I've been talking to a bunch of people about this idea. Everyone's like, oh, I don't know, man. Like, yeah, I don't know, could work. So I was like, all right, enough of that. And I called my friend who's a postdoc guy who teaches, PhD guy, published author, and he was like, yeah, it'll work. Because those wood chips, you got to figure it's going to take them years for them to fully break down. So the hypothesis goes that during those years, you're going to have nutrients.